Well, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. I'm your host. My name is Jared. Every morning, first thing we do, other than walk the dogs, brush our teeth, get some coffee, we listen to War by Edwin Starr. By the way, we caught our first. We got a piece of content blocked on YouTube for our heathens conversation yesterday from what was it, 21 Pilots? Yeah, that whole conversation got muted on YouTube for using copyrighted material. So yeah, good morning, happy Saturday. Morning to the Mrs. Taylor, Agent Debs, Kara. Morning, y'all. All right, let's see what's going on. All right, so Hungary is gonna buy gas from Russia. I think we kind of figured that was gonna happen. Okay, Viktor Orban and Vladimir Putin met up. So remember who's keeping Russia afloat: India, Hungary. Now, yesterday, I saw a pretty wild story about Airbus A320. Okay, something to remember. I have hair in my mouth. Awesome feeling. Yesterday, they grounded thousands of aircraft because of faulty software. And remember, who does this benefit? If there's something wrong with the software in foreign built aircraft, who does this help? That's right. Boeing, American, anybody that ain't them, right? And when you're talking about software, it's not enough to be successful on your own. You got to take out the legs of the other guy too, right? Looks like Japan's taking some steps in terms of cybersecurity, which they should be doing. We've been talking about Japan standing up for Taiwan and China telling them to cool it. And we talked about yesterday how they've massively increased their military spending budget. And now they're talking about improving their cybersecurity. So clearly, hey, if it's not evident to you, the rest of the world's gearing up for conflict. Okay. Successful Ukrainian naval drone strike disables two Russian Shadow Fleet tankers. Disabled boats carrying oil. Morning, Bob. Hope you all had a good evening. My wife and I uh, spent the evening watching Indiana University, Purdue University. For those of you that are not college football fans, it's the last week of the college football regular season. And the last week is typically all the really good rivalry games. So last night was Texas, Texas A&M, IU, Purdue, Georgia, Georgia Tech. You see, I'm wearing a Miami Hurricanes hat today, is yeah, you didn't throw up though. We made up a drink last night. Black cherry rum and black cherry rum, uh, cherry 7 Up, and fruit punch. Just Fago fruit punch. No, it wasn't Fago. It was hey, cherry 7 Up is an all-star mixing game for me. Okay, uh, mixer for me. Sorry. I'm a bartender, by the way. If we hadn't had this conversation before, I went to bartending school. The second highest paying job I've ever had in my life, bartender. The best job I've ever had in my life, bartender. Yeah, it was great. Texas game was awesome. Texas beat Texas A&M. So for those of you that don't watch college football and don't care, um, there's a Manning boy that's the quarterback at Texas, and they were ranked like 10th, and they were playing the number 3 Texas A&M last night, and Texas won. And again, this is those Manning boys with a little bit of mystique, and being able to win big games. I'll remember Eli. I'll remember Peyton at University of Tennessee. They were winning fucking 9 games when he was there. They were tough as fuck. So it's in these Manning boys' blood. Can you imagine like 4 NFL quarterbacks out of a single family? And from what we understand, the best football player in the Manning family uh, never played after going to college to play. From what I understand, I'm allowed to be wrong. From what I understand, the biggest, best athlete, Manning, made it to college football practice and found out like right away he had like a rare spinal disorder and couldn't play at all. So think about this though. There's Daddy Manning, which was before I was born. Peyton, Eli, and now Manning boys, quarterback at Texas. Probably gonna be a high pick too. All right, Germany readies its massive defense plan to counter the Russian threat. So again, here's us. We're showing you all these other countries are gearing up for conflict. Sri Lanka, 44,000 people displaced by flooding across the country. Cyclone Ditwa kills 132 people. Extreme weather destroyed 15,000 homes. Isn't that all of them? I have a great story about Peyton Manning. I have a great story about Peyton Manning. So, within a couple years of coming home from the Marine Corps, I'd found a bar on the south side of Indianapolis that was right off 465 on the south side, so you didn't feel like you were in hell. If you know Indy, that's funny. And I would just go in there after work on Fridays because they did $4.99 for a burger and fries and $2 pints. Who's not eating that? That's $6.50 for a burger and fries and a fucking beer. What are we on? It's clearly a long time ago. Okay. Uh, and so I'd been doing it for a couple weeks and nobody was showing up. And then like people would show up, but it wouldn't be till late. So your boy looked like a fucking moron sitting at a bar by himself. Um, and week 3, which was a Colts bye week, I'm on my mama sitting at this bar in the south side of Indianapolis, and Peyton Manning walks in while I was racking a game of pool. So I had my back to him. But he's like, clearly someone else is here. And I was like, oh my God. And he was like, can I just get a tall Miller Lite? And I was like, no, shut the fuck up. And I spun around after I like set the table, and I was like, do you want to play pool? And he was like, yeah. And we played pool. He beat my ass, and I was just didn't say much. I was like, I'm a big fan. He was like, cool. You're wearing a Colts hat. Like, yeah. Oh my god. And he was like, yeah. And they're like, and you fucking drink beer too? Like, holy shit. And yeah, he stayed for good 90 minutes. We probably played like 3 or 4 games, and then he was like, all right, man, good meeting you. I was like, good luck. Yeah, that's the whole story. Like he didn't say fucking 3 words. He beat the shit out of me in pool, drank a fucking tall boy, and then fucking left. And I was just standing there like, that's it. That's all. I mean, that's all. That's all. That's all, folks. That was it. Okay. And there was like no one there. Like the girl I was dating at the time was like cleaning half the time, and she didn't come out for like half the time that Peyton Manning was there. I kept texting her like, Peyton Manning's here. She's like, ha. Yeah, like, no, come out of the bathroom, please. And she came out of the bathroom and cleaning supplies, and she just like dropped it on the floor. It's like, oh my god, that's Peyton Manning. I was like, I fucking told you it's Peyton Manning. Hmm? Like all my friends like rushed to the bar in the wake of Peyton having been there. People are like smelling the fucking pool cue. Yeah, people are like coming up to me and like smelling my clothes and shit. Like, did you get an autograph? And I was like, he just wanted to play pool and like drink a beer, dude. And they were like, and you didn't totally fanboy out and ask to take pictures and get an autograph? And I was like, no, I was gonna play pool by myself. So when somebody's like, hey, do you just rack that? You want to run? Like, fuck yeah, I want to play. That's what I came here to do, bitch. What's up? Just 2 boys chopping it up. Yep, chopping it the fuck up. Yeah, and then they just left, and then all my friends showed up like 15 minutes later, and I was just like, if I had tomatoes, all my friends got tomatoes, all of you. While he was lining up to break, I took a picture and sent it to all my friends. Like, Peyton Manning's at the bar. Since you motherfuckers don't want to show up, can you maybe show up today? Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. all my homies were just like, you're the only person I know that could have handled that. And I was like, handle it? He fucking beat my ass. This is embarrassing. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I grew up with a fucking pool table in my house, played pool table, played pool on active duty. You know what I mean? Like, I can play some fucking pool. And Peyton Manning just had better aim. Yeah. Ball did what he wanted to do. Go figure, right? One of the things about Peyton Manning that I'll always appreciate is even when he didn't throw a spiral, that shit was on the money. Anyway. Uh, Cyclone Ditwa in India, by the way. Well, Sri Lanka going towards India. I'm gonna be real with you. This shit's hard to fucking talk about without like breaking it up and talking about other shit. Real talk. 460 people killed in Southeast Asia, floods and landslides. 300 people killed on Indonesia's Sumatra Island. 162 reported dead across Thailand. This is monsoons. 80,000 people evacuated, homes still stranded. Yeah, holy shit. Yeah, holy shit. There's a reason we're talking about some other shit. Oh, I guess I can tell this sports story too. So I'm a big sports fan. Um, I grew up a White Sox fan my whole life. I was a White Sox fan. I cannot tell you how many White Sox games I've been to. They not only won the World Series, they swept the World Series in four fucking games. That's how good they were. While I was in Marine Corps boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina. A year fucking later, for those of you following along, you're like, wait, in '05. A year fucking later, while I'm on active duty, during the fucking workup for a deployment, the Indianapolis Colts win the fucking Super Bowl again while I'm on active duty. Bob said he was a floor layer, did Mark McGuire's condo. Everyone's like, he didn't get his autograph. I was like, hell no, it's his house. Yeah, right. He probably wasn't even there, right? Most of the time. Now this is a death toll I can handle. 150,000 Russians dead in the Ukraine war. The only good Russian's a dead Russian, right? Yeah, you really wouldn't want to ask someone for an autograph that you work for. It's weird. To the surprise of no one, Volodymyr Zelensky's chief of staff has resigned. There's a there's an investigation, a corruption investigation going on in the Ukrainian parliament, and Zelensky's fucking chief of staff is a dickball. By the way, you know what is a war crime? Shooting innocent people. You know what's a heinous fucking war crime? Making sure that you kill people you already illegally attacked. So I'm just saying that with my full fucking chest. Peter McNuggets Hegseth is going to prison. He's going to prison. You going to prison, boy, for that shit. Kill them all? Oh, This is how you know he's soft as fuck. You have no concept of the danger and violence you wrought. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tried to. I mean, I've been saying, Dubs, people who seek power should not have it. It's that simple. It's that simple. People that seek it shouldn't have it. Because look what fucking happens. Look what fucking happens. I honestly thought that said Papa John's joins the Catholic Church, but it's not what the article title says. It says Pope joins, not Papa John's. I thought the Catholic Church picked up a corporate sponsor. I'm gonna be fully honest with you. I misread the shit out of this headline. People don't realize when you're in power, it's your fault. So I must have been the booze. Okay, so I don't know who these people are. That clearly means they're important. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese marries Jodie Hayden at the lodge in Canberra. This must be Australian Prime Minister. Oh, okay. Australian PM got married, y'all. I I don't know. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. It's probably important, just not to me. Jesus Christ. I can empathize with this dude. Like, some shit happens, and then you're like, I'm gonna join the military. Uh, So we just talked about Zelensky's top aide getting busted, right? He said he's going to join the armed forces. He's going to the front and prepared for any reprisals. I'm an honest and decent person. Damn. This is important to me because, I've been obsessed with flight since I was a child. They will launch nuclear weapons. Russia will launch nuclear weapons. They lost the ability to put objects in space yesterday. Um, it's like the first time in 60, in like over half a fucking century that the United States, not the United States, that Russia has not had the ability to put people into space. Um, so they have like a cosmodrome, and I think there was just an accident, and it damaged the pod that you would put the shuttle in to hold it into place while the thrusters uh, fire. Um, Now it'll be temporary, it'll get fixed, but they can't really launch spaceships, which is it's like a weird thing to not have access. Remember, WhatsApp's owned by Meta, right? Russia Russia's state communications watchdog threatened Friday to block WhatsApp entirely. He's wearing blue jeans and a Tennessee polo. Oh, remember we're talking about peace, right? We're talking about peace, right? Russia says, give us Crimea, and we'll call off the dogs, right? Yeah, except Russian strikes caused power outages for more than 600,000 people in Ukraine. What? Thought you wanted peace, doggy? North Korea makes the Russian language a required school subject. So the NKs are now going to speak fucking Sputnik. They want war. They want world war. This is the only way those countries can survive. And we have, God damn it, the military industrial complex in the United States wants long war too. They don't want decisive war. This is not the way. Whole ass countries are blocking people coming into their country. This is not the way. Climate change is going to force people to relocate, many on foot. The Chilean people are no exception. Okay, okay. I can go. You want to go? You want to go celeb for celeb since we're talking about fucking horrific shit. Okay, so after Peyton Manning, speaking of defensive linemen, I got asked to work work security at the Miller Lite um, tent inside the track at the Indy 500. And Dominican Sue had just got drafted and had turned 21. He played at Nebraska. Um, and he got there on a helicopter. Like, how fucking rad is it when you've just been drafted, I don't know, top like 3 picks in the NFL, and they fly you from the airport to the Indy 500 on a helicopter to the infield and drop you off. And it was just him. And so I like ran out there to him, dapped him up, and was like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And he was like, "Well, I'm 21. It's the Indy 500. I got shit else to do today, and that helicopter's gonna be back here in like 4 hours." And I was like, "Shut the fuck up." Well, come on. And he was like, "I don't even really like beer." And I was like, "They got pool tables inside and beer pong upstairs." And he was like, "Okay, I'm in." And he came over and drank and partied and spent most of the day with his shirt off, drunk. It was probably the best day of his life. He doesn't even remember. It's probably fantastic for him. I couldn't drink. I was working, but it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was funny too because I was like, this is gonna be a party, right? Are you 21? And he was like, bro, I just turned 21. I was like, you just turned 21 and just got drafted? Like, I think he got drafted like second, I don't know, second or third. He was obviously like much larger than everyone else. We stood in front of each other. Taylor, he's like a refrigerator. Like, see the points on my shoulders? Yeah, his were like out here. He was like a fucking massive human being. It was fucking insane. Yeah, you're like, that's a fucking NFL player right there. Yeah. Dominican Sue. Now he's a TikToker. It's hilarious. Everybody becomes a TikToker eventually, right? Again, again, I'm seeing shit today. I swear to God, that said a meth terminal. That's not what that says at all. Hey. Labor and Greens agree on extra ABC Kids fundings for kids programs. This is the Aussie. His surgery went well. His name going forward will be Captain Coda, the peanut butter pirate. Until Barry Manilow. We're doing celeb for celeb. I got another one. So I used to work security at the Vogue, um, which is like a historical site that is a music venue. For the record, and I know we could just talk about this all day. The best live show I've ever seen in my life was Rise Against. Uh, if I remember correctly, the lead singer of Rise Against at one point was a man, and they transitioned and are a woman. And the fucking show was insane. They're incredibly talented. You didn't ask. In terms of celebs, Bob said he did Marshall Falk's condo and Ozzie Smith's house, and he met Mark McGuire. So you're pretty much just you. It's not that you met them; it's that they met you. Um, I got asked if I would drive to the airport and back and go pick a couple people up. For the record, it was two separate trips. The first trip, it was Jason Derulo. So drove to the airport, picked him up, brought him to his hotel. Then drove back to the airport to pick up Kesha. So I picked up Kesha. She treated me like a doorman. Like I had to carry her bags and shit and like put them in the truck and then get them out for her. Um, because she could hand a wad of cash to someone else and never tip me or look me in the eye at once. Anyway, I think she was going through some shit. Um, But I went and got Derulo, went and got Kesha, took them to the hotel, and then I had to go get them. And so I went and got them and took them to the Vogue so they could perform. And the only like other than she tipped the the bag guy at the hotel, but she didn't tip me, dick. Or look at me or talk to me. We got on the elevator to go up, and she smelled like body odor. Jason Derulo smelled like cologne. And if I remember correctly, Kesh only did one song, and Jason Derulo did like three or four. And he was actually a really talented singer, if I remember correctly. I was also working. Um, I wouldn't say I met a lot of people working at the Vogue, but like you got to be like within 6 feet of tons of musicians. But yeah, Kesha smelled like body odor, and she didn't tip. Shit. Hey, so we've been following this fire in Hong Kong. These big ass buildings. Rodney said they shook hands with President Reagan. So we've been following. There are these multiple high rises that caught on fire in Hong Kong. And initially, the reports were that those buildings were empty, and that the only people that died were like vagrants. And it turns out that that's not true, and that more than 100 people have died. And now there's a story that officials were warned about the dangers, the risk to fire before it ever happened. A real Titanic situation, huh? And then here's military.com talking about how dumbass Pete Hegseth, major drinking problem, pebbles for brains, ordering a strike on a boat they'd already downed. So they illegally shot a boat, and then dipshit here said fuck 'em, kill 'em all, and ordered them to like circle back and strike them again. So keep in mind, he ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill fishermen. What the fuck are we doing? And they want us in war. They're doing it. They're doing it. It's like they're picking a fight. They're constantly picking a fight. And they're hoping that the reaction is significant so that they can just fuck you and go all in war. And by the way, you know what I feel is pretty like we gotta talk about this. The crazy thing, the thread that ties the whole room together is now tying Charlie Kirk and the two National Guardsmen's deaths are tied together because in Israel, Charlie Kirk was searched heavily in Israel before he died, and so was Sarah Beckstrom. She was searched in Israel before she died. I think that Israel has infiltrated the CIA and is carrying out killings, activating terror cells. The Louvre is going to increase their ticket prices for visitors from outside the EU. They're just picking a fucking fight. Fuck them. UN panel says Israel operating de facto policy of torture. Bob's not Bob. Fucking Mike said, "Are you sure Charlie Kirk isn't in just another country right now? His wife seems way too over that." Yeah, she's already talking about Turning Point USA supporting JD Vance for president in 2028. South Korea is forming a task force. All right, so this is not secure, so I'm not sharing this link. Uh, South Korea is developing a task force to build their own engine for their next gen fighter jets. This is not how you war, by the way. You know how I know Donald Trump's gonna chicken the fuck out? This ain't how you do it. This shit ain't how you do it. You don't telegraph shit. If I'm about to fuck you up, I ain't talking about it. You get what I'm saying? I ain't sending in SEAL Team 6 to fuck up some fishermen. We ain't doing that shit. I certainly ain't telling the fucking news we're gonna strike land targets soon. I ain't doing that shit. Mm-mm. Nope. Some shit's gonna turn into dust. And then they're gonna be like, oh, what happened? Well, I don't know. That's how it works. Instead, you got Donald Dumbass telling everybody what he's gonna do before he does it. Purple plume. Anybody know what the purple smoke means? Purple plume over Russian test site after suspected Sarmat ICBM launch failure. So I don't know if you guys saw this video lately. He's on Epstein Island. Yeah, it's a conspiracy theory. Yeah, right. What's purple smoke mean? Anybody? What element is present if the smoke is purple? Iodine and potassium. And gold. Chemical weapons, guys. Chemicals. Chemical weapons. We followed this story a while back about Dudazil Zuma, who became a member of parliament. She has resigned after allegations that she duped South Africans to fight for Russia. Oh, understand, like, every person in the chain of command responsible for these deaths in the Caribbean, they're all getting tried for war crimes. All of them. I was just doing my jobs, not. That's not a defense. We had the Nuremberg trials. We already know this. I was just doing what I was told is not a defense. God. Reuters is talking about Poland has detained 2 Ukrainians and 3 Belarusians on charges of acting on the orders of foreign intelligence services. Yeah. I am baffled. I'm baffled. I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Am baffled that you could become an elected official and dupe people, your own citizens, into going and fighting on the front lines for Russia. And I try to think about how much money, Jared, how much money would it take to get you to change your mind? And there isn't enough. There's not enough money. There's not enough money to get me to do it. Not enough. Had a metal fire, green fire, purple smoke, green fire. Copper, boron, purple smoke, iodine is the most common. Marine Corps. I was an assaultman. Demolition and rockets. You got to know what color fire means what color smoke means what. I'll admit, I don't know. I've been out too long. I ain't that kind of guy. But iodine is purple when it burns. The smoke is purple. Boron, green when it burns. The flames. I don't know about green smoke, purple flame. But I have to admit, I think all those compounds are present. Meaning, like, I don't know the answer, but. Hey, Keisha. At least you're not Kesha. She would be pissed. What do you mean I smell like body odor? She had armpit hair too, bro. She was going through some shit. Not that, like, you can't have armpit hair. I think I'm done with world news. Let's share the show and switch over. Yeah, I'm a former Lance Colonel in the United States Marine Corps Infantry, and I would urge all active duty and National Guardsmen to disobey illegal orders. Mhm. God, we just wanted to skate. Yeah, you got to understand. I'm talking like better part of 20 years ago. If you don't know what Kesha was going through, I know what Kesha was going through. Let's share the show, and then we'll talk U.S. news and politics. Now that we've followed up on our stories, so good morning. Have a sensational Saturday. Justice's Waiting Room, a daily podcast discussing news and politics, is live on Twitch and YouTube. Just sharing the show real quick. I mean, we had a conversation about how powerful disobeying illegal orders are. We talked about it yesterday. I love the Marine Corps. I love my time on active duty, and I can promise you, if it had not been for a bunch of guys that I served with standing up for them fucking selves and saying, nah, man, this is hazing and I'm not about that shit. Who do I got to fist fight to not do this? I would have had a lot different opinion about the military. If those people that had hazed us had been rewarded with promotion, I would have a lot different opinion of my time in service, right? If those people that were willing to haze us, and when asked why, they said they did it to us. That's why they tortured us, is because that's what was done to them. Again, despite court order, this is notable. The Trump administration does not seem to give a fuck. College freshman is deported, flying home for Thanksgiving surprise, despite a court order. Lucia Lopez Belotza had already passed through security at Boston Logan when she was told there's an issue with her boarding pass. Detained by immigration officials within 2 days, sent to Texas and then Honduras, the country she left at age 7. Can you believe it, guys? We're coming up on a year. I want to. Is it 2 weeks from today? Let's look at the calendar. It was 2 weeks from Thursday. Oh yeah, it was 2 weeks from Thanksgiving. Oh. Trump says he's going to pardon the ex Honduras president convicted of drug trafficking. I have a question. Yeah, because here's an article about how the president's going to pardon the ex Honduran president. What did he get tried for in the United States that Donald Trump could actually pardon him for? See, I'll I'll say it. It doesn't make sense to pardon someone who's not subject to your laws. Alabama priest leaves clergy after a woman alleges private companionship began when she was 17. What do you think private companionship means? Yeah, yeah. Now, that's what I'm saying. Like, did he get convicted in the United States and is being pardoned? Oklahoma Supreme Court tosses Bible lawsuit after education leader declines to enforce mandate. Saying the issue is now moot, I'm reading. Oklahoma's highest court dismissed the lawsuit challenging a requirement that public schools keep Bibles in classrooms and teach from them. In a 6-2 decision, the Oklahoma Supreme Court wrote Monday that the newly appointed state superintendent Lindell Fields and the new 6 members of the Oklahoma State Board of Education said they plan to nullify a 2024 mandate requiring Bible usage in schools. It's dead already. Okay? Yeah, there's no such thing as a universal pardon. I want to make sure that we point this out so nobody gets their fifis all tore up. The President of the United States can only pardon you from federal crime that happened in the United States. So, The Honduran president drug trafficking in his own country and didn't get tried in the American justice system and sure doesn't have federal fucking charges. You can't pardon him, Don. Dumbass. Yeah, FFRF gonna have a fucking lawsuit. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, okay. Sweden is running war drills with their royal family. Y'all, they are practicing war in the Swiss royal family. America's the most serious, unserious country. Yeah. Hmm. Think about this. We've been 250 years, right? What chief export do we have? Entertainment. That's it. That's all we got. Entertainment. We don't have a cash crop. There's a problem right there. There's a problem. We don't have a cash crop. It should have been. It should have been cannabis. It should have been hemp. Hemp makes a better leather. It makes a better wood. It makes a better rope. And it's not just about. We don't even do that. Okay, me and who else? Three Austrian nuns in their 80s have ran away from have ran away from the old folks home, okay? And went back to the convent and they were told they could stay there as long as they stay off social media. They ran away from an old folks home. That's so fucking cute, man. Now, they went back to a convent. Hey, listen, I'm not saying World War Three. Anyone? Anyone? Is this thing on? Yeah, no. I'm really telling you. Italy now recognizes the crime of femicide and punishes it with life in prison. Is femicide when a man loves a woman? We're about to find out. Ooh, stronger measures against gender-based crimes, including stalking and revenge porn. When a man kills a woman, it's called femicide. Hmm? Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, Italy is not fucking it up. Just throwing that out there. That's actually, I mean, it was kind of funny, right? When a man kills a woman, it's called femicide. Yeah, I did not know that. It stopped me if you thought this was. You, I feel like I read this shit before. Russia has outlawed the Human Rights Watch as their crackdown on dissent continues. God. Just, yeah, first degree murder for Sarah Beckstrom and Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. It is true, though. Two former Peruvian presidents have been jailed in the last 2 days. Say USA or Russia, right? Southern Syria. I feel like this is the fifth country that Israel is engaging. Remember, I want to take time every day to say free Palestine. The Israel of today was founded in 1948 by David Ben Gurion. He was then the head of the Jewish Agency. The entire purpose of Israel is to be imperialist and expansionist in many of the same ways that the United States was, is, was. Okay? The thing that is different between the US and the IDF is that when I was on active duty in the Marine Corps Infantry, I had a bunch of buddies that had trained with the IDF. And they said, those motherfuckers are crazy. We're crazy. Those people are legitimately fucking nuts. They do not know when to stop. Their violence has no end. They do shit we wouldn't do. So, when you see what Israel's doing to its neighbors, understand this is what Donald Trump wants to do to his neighbors. This is what Vladimir Putin does to his neighbors. 13 dead in Syria, so I can count Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, Qatar. Is that five? All in the last like 6 months. Reuters reporting Donald Trump said he's going to freeze. Um, he's going to freeze immigration from third world countries. How'd they become third world, Don? Okay, we did not talk about this yesterday because the information had not come out yet. That but should be an and, Rodney. Israel's brutal and so are their neighbors. Because we're not making an exception for Israel being brutal. That's what happens when you have an authoritarian in charge. No sense of accountability, no real purpose. They're just killing indiscriminately and have been. France is bringing back France to bring in a form of military service 5 years after conscription was phased out. So they'll add a few thousand. Yep. Remember, one of the reasons that the government was struggling to reopen is that House members did not want to extend ACA subsidies. Molson Coors going fucking through it right now, accusing their ex-managers of a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Hey, love to see stuff like this. Political prisoners are being released in Myanmar in mass amnesty. It's always good seeing people being let out of prison without being, oh boy. Oh boy. Nazis. Bryson Satirin. 1 count of child abuse, 3 accounts of sexual assault. Where's this? North Dakota? Yes, sir. Nelson County man is behind bars after he allegedly assaulted a woman and a teenager multiple times. Jesus. But yeah, need to release the Epstein files. One of the things that I don't think the media is talking about enough is that the emails that the Epstein estate released connected Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein with Bibi and Putin. We don't talk about that enough. And so what I think they're actually, because you got to think, what are they hiding? What are they hiding? I think they're hiding that they had freak offs in the same room and shit, doing butt stuff or stuff with minors in like an orgy fashion. You got to think about what lengths they're going to cover it up, and it's like it had to be. You got to raise the fucking bar on what you think was going on. Because think about this. If it's Donald Trump sucking Bill Clinton's dick, we basically have the run up photo. I don't think that's it. Notice how Donald Trump has not said, I did not have sexual relations with that man. You notice that? Because he wants that to be the truth. That would be fucking great. That's not even that big of a deal. Honestly, that's not even that big of a deal. Is it that shocking? No. They're waiting for him to die. No, remember they got 30 days. So the reason that they haven't released them is because they got time. Remember, the government, the government is going to try to redact the fuck out of these files. Those emails are going to act as the key that unredacts those files. Hmm. The emails are very damning. If you've taken any time at all to actually read the emails, you're like, that's evidentiary. They're just going to catch other people trying to cover it up. Honestly, the farther I get into this, the more I'm like, look at all the accountability going on all over the fucking world and tell me it's not all gonna come back to the wealthy and powerful in the United States paying for their fucking crimes. Remember, we are in a blackout. So just because you didn't go blow your wad uh, on Black Friday yesterday, it doesn't mean that you won. We still got today, tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. Stop spending money at big businesses just for the next like 4 days. You know what I mean? Full disclosure, I ran to a local liquor store last night to get Taylor some Patron because she asked for, can we have some tequila? I'll drink with you. And so I ran to a local liquor store to buy some Patron, and she messaged me on the way there like, black cherry rum, right? So I was like, okay. So I ain't never heard of black cherry rum, so I had to like ask the guy to help me find it. And then I was like, oh, can I get a bottle of Patron? And he was like, we get up to the register, and he's like, I actually don't have any up here. I have Don Julio. And I was like, oh, is it cheaper? And he's like, no, it's the same price. And I was like, is it better than fucking Patron? And he was like, people do like them some Don Julio. And I was just like, if it was for me, I'm sold. I'd just do it. But my wife's the one that actually asked for the fucking Patron. So if I come home with something that isn't Patron, and he was just like, yeah, yeah, I'm going to get it. And he went in the back and got me a bottle of Patron. It was actually kind of funny. hmm Making Diddy look like an amateur, yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of know. And again, I'm not trying to browbeat anyone or act like everybody else is dumb, but I can connect some fucking dots. Here, let's connect some fucking dots. Is everybody ready? Uh, Diddy said, for the better part of a decade, he and Donald Trump were the life of the party. Okay, so let me ask you a dumb question. If Diddy is saying that Trump and Diddy were the life of the party for the better part of a decade, do you think that means that they weren't in the same room? Now that you've established in your brain hole, oh shit, this means Donald Trump and fucking P. Diddy partied together a lot. Diddy's Diddy's in prison. Ghislaine Maxwell prison, Jeffrey Epstein prison. Why do you think he's fighting so hard? Oh yeah, yeah. I was like, if I come home with something other than fucking Patron, I'm just begging for trouble. And the guy behind the counter was like, "You ain't fucking wrong, homie. Give me just a moment, I'll go get it." I'm like, okay. I told him like, if it was just me drinking the shit, I'd have bought it. Fuck it, you sold it. You sold it to me. Yep. So I want to make sure that we point this out. Diddy had freak offs at his parties. This is like an orgy, but sport. And also, the Epstein emails revealed the connection between Trump and Putin and Bibi. Anybody else connecting the fucking dots with what the Epstein files contain? Because it really feels like a whole bunch of people are just now opening their fucking eyes and are like, "Oh shit, Jared! No fucking wonder he's talking about blowing Bill Clinton. That's tame shit. That's tame ass shit. That's nothing. Everybody was sucking Bill Clinton's dick except for Hillary, apparently. Okay, that's not that deep. I don't give a fuck about that. Not only that, but Jeffrey Epstein's brother said Bubba is not Bill Clinton. So I want to make sure that we say I kind of don't know if Bill Clinton's actually involved in this. I'm not a big fan of picking sides. We don't never drank hardcore before. Went to a Mario bar event, took the Mario drink, couldn't handle it. Princess Peach drink was a good one for me. Yeah. I think everybody should start with tequila. I think tequila, it with the salt and the lime, it's sort of a process. And if they do it right and the tequila's, cold, the, how I don't know how y'all do it. Salt, shot, lime, the quickness of it. Um, Hillary eats pussy, no sucky sucky. Yeah, it's whatever. She eats ass. She don't do no sucky sucky. And I want, and like I said, it's not that like start with tequila. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I want to know if you can hang, or if we should just leave you behind. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do it. It's like, we should just do a shot of Patron. And if you can't do a shot of Patron and just have a good time, you should probably just stay home. Hmm. This shit's not for you. Saturn and this guy had been drinking, but man, he slapped, kicked, choked, pinched the teen, bruises on her face, throat, arms, legs, chest, and her private parts. Dude, this was essay. Jesus Christ, what a terrible person. The Soyuz spacecraft blasts off for the International Space Station. Two Russian cosmonauts and one U.S. NASA astronaut on board. So this happened. So this must have been what led to that. What is NSAID? Just don't take NSAIDs. I don't even know what that is. Oh, non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs. Like what? Oh, ibuprofen, naproxen. Oh shit. I'm just kidding about starting with tequila. Okay. I think you should start with the green and fucking stay there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ooh, Trump's cruelty has gone too far and America will punish him. Punish him. Dude, I want his name shamed forever. Ooh, here's an article about what Chicago's doing right to resist oppression. Mm. Learn something new every day, Mike. Do not take low level painkillers and drink alcohol, because then you'll be able to do neither, says one of our own. Mom Donnie's win has progressives eyeing New York City House seats. Let's go. By the way, Donald Trump said yesterday that all of Joe Biden's fucking auto pen bills are null and void. He can't do that. He doesn't have the ability to decipher which was signed by AutoPen and which was actually signed by Joe Biden. And also, every accusation is a confession. Hmm. So, if you actually think Donald Trump didn't use an AutoPen and he literally cannot sign his own name anymore. That's why he's going after this. That's why he's doing this. Here's a USA Today story about. Huh. Somebody asked Jared, should Hakeem Jeffries be challenged? Is he take money from APAC? 4 inches of snow so far. Traffic's come to a standstill in Missouri. Oh no. This week, Europe realized it stands alone against Russian expansionism. I'll look. Did Hakeem Jeffries take money from APAC? Survey says APAC Hall of Shame. Here's trackapac.com. You tell me. That looks like Hakeem Jeffries. I'm just, hey, I'm not arguing. I'm just pointing it out. Hey, here's APAC Hall of Fame. Hakeem Jeffries, 1.635 million. Okay. Now, yeah, that is a great website. Oh man. Yeah, we're down here in India. I don't know that we've actually got anything. We walked the dogs this morning. It was a little cold. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who takes money from APAC, blames Donald Trump, no shit, for the two National Guards people that got killed in. All right, Doug Jones has entered the 2026 Alabama governor's race. Former U.S. Senator, by the way. Entry into the race sets up a rematch with Tommy Tuberville. Got a quarter inch up near Milwaukee. Talking about snow. We're supposed to have like a big snowfall. Oh yeah! Love to see this shit. The crypto crash is eroding wealth for Trump's family and their followers. Yeah, buddy. Let me explain something to you. You know what? So, I got sucked into crypto a while back. Okay? I want to tell this story and then, oh, well, we're almost done anyway. All right. So, got sucked into crypto. Guy pretended to be Gary V and got me to download Coinbase and got me to invest. And I got taken for a couple $100 ride. Okay. What I learned in my research is that of all the people that have ever deposited money on Coinbase, the withdrawal rate is less than 1%. That means that if 100 people put money on Coinbase, less than one person out of that 100 is going to withdraw money ever from Coinbase. You're almost assuredly going to lose. You're like 99% to lose money. Now, had I known that going into it, yeah, thanks, Mike. Like Gary Vee gives a fuck about me, right? Okay. I had a delusional moment where I was like, why the fuck is Gary Vee messaging me? Are you that bored? What do you felt like you had to reach down? What the fuck? Anyway, I'm an idiot. Um, but what I learned was like, um, it's uh, it's not sustainable to decentralize currency. Lack of regulation and hard rules means a lot more corruption. Only a fool would get into that. It's just not secure. Yeah, I would definitely say I'm a sucker for sure. For sure. For a couple $100 one time, and then very against it. Make money, not war. That's what Donald Trump's plan for Russia and Ukraine is. Remember, yeah, you can't decentralize currency and increase the security of your money. So, if you ever wondered how I felt about crypto, that's how I feel about it. You cannot decentralize currency and increase safety and security of your money, of your investment. It's like a bad investment vehicle. Only an idiot, only super wealthy people. And I want to point out they called us fucking snowflakes. They called us fucking snowflakes. Indiana Senator, so this happened in my own home state. Indiana Senator Mike Boasek, who was originally going to go with Donald Trump's plan to redistrict Indiana, is now saying no because Donald Trump used retarded in a sentence. I don't ever want to hear, ever the fuck again, that anyone that's not a Republican is a snowflake. Because you know what's some snowflake ass shit? When you decide you're not going to fuck over your constituents anymore because you've got a mentally challenged child and your boss said retarded in a sentence. Your fifis got in the way. They affected your decision making. You should not be in a position of power. Full stop. Mike said we got a lot of snowflakes. But yeah, I want to make sure we say, hey, I'm really thinking there is a connection between Israeli special forces, the death of Charlie Kirk, and the death of Sarah Beckstrom and Staff Sergeant Wolf. And the connection is they were Google searched in Israel before their death. One of the things that I heard, I'm sorry, that I read a couple times that I'm like, wait a minute. All of the articles that came out about the shooting said that it was a targeted killing. And I know to the layman, you probably think that means that that former CIA operative came to Washington, D.C. to kill any two soldiers. And I don't think so. That former CIA operative killed two people that were in the U.S. Army for a minimum of probably 4 years. Somebody tell me that I'm wrong. Do you normally get E4 before you've been in for 4 years? Is that normal? Most people in the Marine Corps aren't eligible for E4 until they're ready to re-enlist. And naturally, they're more likely to promote you if they think you're going to stick around. So I think that the shooter knew those people and received information and probably didn't have the money to fly across the country. But I'm willing to bet you that if you think 4 or 5 years ago, when those people were in Afghanistan, those people were connected, they knew each other, and it was a targeted killing. Yeah, Mike, but you're a badass. So I was an E3 and I told everybody what to do. I didn't give a shit. I sat in the company office between an officer and a staff sergeant, and they just said, Malat, go tell them what's up. Okay. And I made motherfuckers stand in formation and let me yap. I'm a E3, been here 5 seconds. Fuck all of you. But mostly I just told motherfuckers to kick rocks. I remained in E4 for the remainder of my 8 year term. Mike is fully a member of the E4 Mafia. I, when I was on active duty, corporals, man. Sergeants, man. They were a wreck. Corporals and sergeants. Because they had just fought in a fucking war, and then they weren't doing that shit no more. That's what happened. Um, but yeah. And almost everybody that didn't pick up that was had been in longer than me was a fuck up of some kind. A lot of guys were insubordinate because sometimes people get promoted and they shouldn't be in charge of other people. They're just like really good at their job and shit. Yep. My staff sergeant was filling an officer's billet. We had an officer that was in charge of mortarmen that was dumber than fuck. And so half the time I didn't even acknowledge his ass. My staff sergeant, half the time I called him sir because he is fulfilling an officer's fucking role, and then I'm effectively filling his role. Well, we had E5s in fucking weapons company. So when we were doing like end of day formations and everybody, all the people that are like officers, they have like meetings at the end of the day, and they'd be like, somebody has to go give word to all these other fucking Marines so they can go home, and they just be like, Malat, read these announcements and tell everyone to go home. Like, all right. And I would go out there in front of that entire formation and read off the list of announcements, and then attention, fucking dismissed. Like, go home. And they would just stand there and look at me like, for real? And I'm like, you better run. Like, don't stand there and look at me stupid and have one of them fucking bars come outside and fucking rescind whatever the fuck that I just did. Get out of here. And my favorite part of it is they would be watching me out the window and they'd be like, Malat! And he's like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, I dismissed people and they just stood there like idiots. And they're like, so you had to yell at them? I'm like, yeah, I had to yell at them. Be like, fucking go home before like one of them comes out here and fucking yells at you for being an idiot. Like, go get in your car and go home. And and they're like, you got to say it with some gusto. And you're like, what? And they're like, you got to really like dismissed. Go the fuck home. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to like tell these motherfuckers. Okay, Roger, I'll fucking make it happen next time. Can we go home? Okay, let's go home. My staff sergeant called Sergeant Martin too. People don't like him very much. See, that's like what I said. A lot of things could have gone differently, and I would have fucking hated it, but I loved it. Marine Corps was legit. I had a guy I went to boot camp with that was prior service Air Force. I had a sergeant that came to our unit. I was prior service Army. So he had been a E5 in the Army, left the Army, went to Marine Corps boot camp, and climbed all the way back up the rank structure to sergeant in the Marine Corps. And I just asked him why join the fucking Marine Corps if you was in the fucking Air Force, if you was in the Army, why would you switch fucking branches? And this is not my words; these are other people's words. They said, the Army is so big that it's easy to get lost. And often the people that are in charge are just the people that have been there the longest. And frequently that's not who should fucking be in charge of everybody, is not just the oldest person that's been here the longest. That's not a good way to decide who's in charge. Uh, and the people that was in the Air Force basically said like there's not enough discipline in the Air Force. It's too much freedom and people need that good order and discipline in their lives. I probably would have just stayed in the Air Force, full stop. Probably would have just stayed in the Army, full stop. Marine Corps is hard as fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's not soft. It's not fun or easy. So it was always baffling to me. Like guys would like already be in the military in another branch and like give up all their time in not time in service, but all their rank to join the Marine Corps and like start over. So no, 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 they don't. My favorite thing my buddy in the Air Force said was like in the Air Force you might PT like twice a week, and the only time you're gonna PT like three or more times a week is the leading up to your like annual physical fitness test. They're gonna like ramp it up a little bit. And he said like by the time you do the Air Force PFT, you have trained for it for like 2 months. And so everybody gets like really good scores and like is super promotable and like again, it feels like again, I wasn't in the Air Force. I'm not talking shit about the Air Force. It just feels like it's too easy. It's too easy. That was the vibe I got from people that were like prior service Air Force that joined the Marine Corps. Or like this shit was soft. You know what? Soft probably means you survive. Just throwing that out there. So, all right, let's check the weather. Listen to a little bit of Eat the Rich and get the fuck out of here. Do you notice I never say like I was in charge of other people? Nope. I was a fucking nobody. It was great. But I saw, by the way, Mike, I saw that guy that was prior service Air Force on. Marine Corps base. Yeah, I don't think I ever ran 2 miles in my life. Like the whole time I was on active duty, I don't think I ever ran 2 miles. We used to joke. We used to joke about doing fun runs, and you'd be like 4 or 5 miles into a run, and you'd be like, "God, we're probably all right now, but like we should probably turn in. We should probably turn in before we end up out here all day." You do get in good enough shape, and you're just no longer tired. So, if any of you wonder how the fuck could you get on here every day for 90 minutes and talk about news and politics without breaking a sweat, there's your fucking answer. I watched you change. Half past the youth. I love how I click buttons and nothing happens. It's great. Alright, let's check the weather. Make sure you keep your head on a swivel. No fucking surprises. Right? We talk about this. One of the saddest things to ever happen, in my opinion, was all them people dying in Hill Country, Texas, because the adults in the room said we're not accepting weather prediction tools. Okay. Oh my God. It's like all of the precipitation just gathered in the middle part of the country and shat. So, here. Look at that. Middle part of the United States. Holy shit. Okay. So remember, we start out west. They ain't shit. A little bit of snow in Washington, a little bit in Cali, a little bit of wind and snow in Colorado, in eastern Montana and Wyoming, and then hey, from fucking central North Dakota, west South Dakota, all the way to Columbus, Ohio, there is a storm system. Okay, snow is on the radar until you get down into Kansas and southern Missouri, and it's just straight up rain. So, no, Bob, if you live in Mizzou and you're not getting snow, you could be getting rain, and you could be getting a mix of rain and snow. And so I would say, Bob, Missouri, keep your head on a swivel. Pay attention to the weather. It looks like you could be getting a mix of rain and snow in some parts, and I think that's particularly dangerous if it's cold, too. So if you've also got some cold, and it can't decide if it wants to snow or rain, hey, that's how we end up with inches of ice. Um, and then also I would say Southern Illinois, which means Western Kentucky. It also means Western Tennessee, all the way down into Louisiana. Okay, so this storm basically goes from the Gulf of Mexico to Canada, and from the west part of South Dakota to Columbus, Ohio. It's a massive fucking storm. I'm not necessarily like worried about people dying and shit, but I am concerned with like car accidents, cars sliding off the road and shit, just from not being aware that I'm not a weatherman, so take what I say with a fucking grain of salt. But I think it is worth pointing out, hey, there's some potential for some fuckery. Okay, so have a fantastic Saturday. Like my wife says, make smart decisions. We'll see you tomorrow. I don't know why I went to push a button. Like there's a button to push.